Siddhaswarupaya Hare Krishna Prestaya
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Ora Karuna Swarupaya Hare Krishna Prestaya
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Ora Karuna Swarupaya Hare Krishna Prestaya
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Ora Karuna Swarupaya Hare Krishna Prestaya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana
Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana
Jaya Jaya Guru Devi Jaya Jaya Guru Ranga Jaya Jaya Guru Devi Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Haribo Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribo Krishna.
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Haribo Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribo Krishna.
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribo Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Haribo Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribo Krishna.
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Haribo Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribo Krishna.
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Guru,
Haribo Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Haribo Krishna.
Jaya Jaya Guranga.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Guranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Guranga.
Jaya Jaya Srila
Haribo
Prabhupada,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Haribo Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada,
Haribo Krishna.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Ananda Paramahamsa.
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Ananda Paramahamsa.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Ananda Paramahamsa. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Ananda Paramahamsa.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
We'll be reading again the continuation of Lord Krishna's pastimes, wherein he defeated the princess, the prince who wanted the hand of Rukmini. And before I read it, I like to reiterate something so it could be of wisdom to remember the path that we are treading or walking. Krishna, the Supreme Person, is very merciful. Our situation in this material world, to get out of this encumberment or this predicament, it is an insurmountable endeavor, because the nemesis or the enemy which had been directing our lives for so long, we cannot remember anymore, is Maya or illusion. And she has contaminated the spirit soul, focusing upon the mind and the desire of the living entity to be independent, to love himself, to do his own will. It is not an easy task. So the reason we are always reminded to be focusing and remembering the guidance of our instructing spiritual master, Lord Krsna, so we can be focused in just one-pointedly treading the direct path towards doing the will of God, to love Him, to please Him. But for so long, we have been doing our own will, subjugated by the mind, under the influence of Maya or illusion. Don't ever think, don't get me wrong, that is an easy task. So when one comes in contact with God's love, with the personality of God's compassion, His pure loving servant, He guides us. Because the enemy, or what's directing us for so long, is situated in the mind. It is lust, anger, and greed. What is lust? Lust is the perverted reflection of love. Because of material contamination, we are now in lust. We try to find happiness in the material dimension through temporary forms and try to pursue our own will, which will never succeed. Because it's a misdirected, futile endeavor. Because we are not the supreme controller, and not only that, we are not self-sufficient. So lust, situated in the mind. Anger is situated in the mind. And greed. Anger, you can see when you come in contact with these teachings of our spiritual master, you can, through hearing, you can see that everybody in this material world is angry. What is anger? It's not just the frustration that we experience and we get angry, but rather it is when we try to satisfy this lust through the senses. Manifested our anger, we try to experience that through the senses. We want relief, to be relieved from this burning, empty world of misery we are experiencing every day. And if we try to just want to experience calmness of the mind, then we're in for a run, because the mind is the playground of Maya. It is where the three modes of material nature influence us. What we should be focusing is us, the living entity, the spirit soul, not the mind. So we must become purified from this misconception, and point our world, our life into simply the spirit soul, you who is transcendental, different from matter. Stop playing, stop trying to endeavor in futility to find security in the temporary material world, into temporary forms, because you will suffer, you will experience pain from separation from it. You become attached to it. Forms, you become attached. The living entity whom you're relating to as your husband, your wife, your children, it's now deflected through the body, and the body disintegrates, turning to simpler forms. So, if your meditation is simply focused upon this temporary world, you're in for a run. You're gonna suffer the pain of being separated and the misdirection of what we should be directing our love. The spirit soul, all of us, service is inseparable from us. Real religion is Sanatan Dharma, our eternal activity to render service. But now we have become servant of illusion. We have become enslaved. So there is a formula that is given to us through God's mercy. So our direction now will be receiving information from our instructing spiritual master, the saintly person, our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who gives us guidance. He teaches us. He points to us where we can be really focused and one-pointedly in a path that is not disturbed, but rather Lord Krishna guiding us where we can be situated, the spirit soul, with Krishna's embrace. So we can now be of understanding, realization, to be the witness, the living entity, me, inside this body covered by material nature, made out of matter, earth. I am in this body, and I am not doing actually anything. I am not the one digesting the food. I am not engaging in metabolism. It is done by material nature. So if you look closely, because of our situation now, we have been directed by the material energy, by the three modes of material nature under Maya, illusion. Now we should be directed by the divine energy. And what is that divine energy? It's connected with what is inseparable from us. Love, service. The living entity is eternally wanting to relish loving service. So the process comes to purify us from this misconception of false bodily identification. And not only that, we can direct now the misdirection that has been our process, our activities for so long, and direct it towards the goal. And what is the goal? To be able to do the will of God. If we have been here serving Maya for so long. We look, even though we're chanting, we look things through the eye, to the critical eye, and try to assess it, the imperfection with our material eyes, with the material sound. That's why a process, the formula given by Lord Chaitanya is the humbleness and the chanting. Feeling lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. So if we make an endeavor to arrange, to try to save the world with our imperfect senses, then we're in for a run. Nobody will succeed. Because we look and see and assess things with our critical material eyes, which is a process in futility, because it is an ascending method. Our senses are imperfect. And not only that, it is under the three modes of material nature. So according to the influence of the three modes of material nature, we will be assessing or trying to gauge what is right, what is favorable, not understanding that the process is very simple. The process is to purify us from this material disease. What is this material disease? Materialism. The greatest disease that everybody has is materialism, not COVID-19. What is materialism? False bodily identification. And it's a blatant clarity that we can see why we have a material body. Because we want to dominate material nature. So Krishna gives us this field of activities, this body. So this science is very important because Krishna is inseparable from time. So in a misconception, we use this precious time while we are in this body to try to dominate material nature. In the end, we lose, we fail. Our life is a failure. We're not able to see that time is Krishna. He's giving us this opportunity to use this precious time while we have this, while we are in this body. We have this intelligence. We can now gauge and weigh, what do I want? In the beginning, we are wanting liberation, relief from suffering. But when we mature, we begin to see loving Krishna is our eternal activity. Activities that is connected with His pleasure. Either we're in the body or out of the body. So the precious time, Krishna's love, can be appreciated with the guidance of the instructing spiritual master. So in a nutshell, bottom line, we only follow the process that is eternal, absolute, not opinion from individuals who are encumbered or subjugated or under the spell of illusion. Because these individuals sees with a critical eye and the sound is not purifying. It is relative through their imperfect material senses. And not only that, they are so focused on looking and being critical from the outside, not pointing upon themselves how they're lacking in their connection in doing the will of God. So we are not hypocrites in a way na we know the task is not an easy task. So Maya, illusion, the false ego, the dance of false ego, I'm humble, I'm imperfect, I'm fallen, I'm not qualified. It's all about ourselves. Maya tricks us. We play pseudo devotee, And then what? Because of our association with the material energy, with the system, we become hard-hearted. Instead of clinging and surrendering, giving our life, let Krishna be the driver of our life. We use the mind now. We use our teeny, puny position, an insignificant living entity who thinks he's in control. So the process we follow is the process of Lord Krishna. It is guided by the instructing spiritual master, coming from Lord Krishna himself, descending down, the creator of this universe, Lord Brahma, through His sons, through Lord Chaitanya. Lord Vyasadeva wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, the song Srimad Bhagavatam, sung by the great Vaishnava, Sukadev Goswami, the disciple of Narada Muni. It's not tinged by material consideration and material contamination. So when one follows this path, he begins to appreciate association with God through the great Vaishnavas, not from someone who has opinion of this world, who is encumbered, who's rolling in this mud, in this muck, giving opinions. You know what I think? Who cares about what you think? You're drowning. Our only concern is the opinion of Krishna, His will, none other. Now, if we want to succeed, the task that is insurmountable will be easy. It is described in Scripture by the Vedas, by the spiritual master. This ocean becomes like a small containment of water in a hoofprint of a cup. When we come in contact with our instructing spiritual master, not different from Lord Krishna, and Krishna Himself, the Supreme Person, who is a person like us, but different because He's omnipotent, all-powerful, self-sufficient. He's the Lord of love. We should not enter that world with our mind, but rather receive God's grace descending through His representative, the teacher by example, who has no material consideration, who is master of his senses, who loves Lord Krishna, that by coming in contact with Him, He can change people's heart. A heart that is hard, cold, selfish. When you come in contact with Lord Krishna's devotee, you begin to see yourself, what separates us from that sweetness. And that is material contamination, the selfishness of trying to imitate God, to do our own will, envy of God. We are all envious of Krishna. And that is not our world. Our world is the pleasure of Lord Krishna. So we now have this foundation, how we can be gauging if we're making progress. Everything is clear. Just like when the sun comes, everything is clear. When we come in contact with the devotee of God, with the instruction that is coming down, then it itself, the beginning and an end, if we simply follow that path and listen. Because the holy names, Krishna will be the one to take care of our love that has been misdirected upon this temporary world. So I'll read to you here the importance of yesterday we read the importance of following the footsteps of saintly person. Whom will we follow? Someone who is drowning? Someone whose motivation is his own or her selfish opinion to pacify the mind and with a critical eye sees everything as if she's perfect? No, we should not do that. And we should not also do that, to see things with our critical eye. We must have this humbleness to bow down, to listen and chant the holy names, to connect our heart with Lord Krishna. When one makes progress, everything becomes insignificant in this world. He experienced a higher taste, just like we have read the life in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukadev Goswami narrated the pastimes of Bali Maharaj. He's not interested with the three worlds in his possession. He knows he'll leave it behind. What is his interest? Is in meditation of devotional service. To be always thinking of the Lord in loving service. That is the direction our Gurudev is teaching us. It's not about saving this world. What we should do is to connect our heart with the heart of Lord Krishna and His pure devotees and live in that world of love and devotion. That's why so many guidance, the Sri Upanishad, telling us about our true nature, that we are not the dominated. We are not in control. We're under the laws of material nature. We're very insignificant. And they give us guidance how we can be in harmony. To be free from this karmic reaction. To be in karma yoga. Action in the service of God. That is a karma. Not touched by material nature. So I'll read here the instruction of our instructing spiritual master. Following the footstep of saintly person, in the Skanda Purana, it is advised that a devotee follow the path of acharyas and saintly person, because by such following one can achieve the desired result with no chance of lamenting or being baffled in his progress. So we're given the opportunity, disciples, students, to pass on what has been given to us. All we have to do is pass on what has been given to us. The holy names, the guidance, to engage in the 9 process of devotional service, to give our life to Krishna. So we have these 3 guidance that is very secured, eternal. Our instructing spiritual master, Lord Krishna, the saintly person, the Lord within the heart, and the Lord from the outside, our Gurudev, the initiating spiritual master. Saktabesh Avatar, an empowered living entity who can deliver us from this ocean of misery. What is this ocean of misery? Separation from tasting the sweetness of rendering loving service to the Supreme Person, doing His will, focusing upon what He wants, and surrendering in humbleness, praying to be somehow or other being part of His pleasure to do His will. No matter where, no matter what situation is, to be fixed in that loving surrender. So they give us this guidance. Krishna comes Himself as His mercy, love, the holy names. The spiritual word comes. Our body, this material nature, the field of activity that we are trying to dominate becomes the temple of God. Because we are now with wisdom that yes, I can use material energy to connect, to offer to God. God doesn't need anything. The flowers you offer, the endeavor you do, God doesn't need your endeavor. Krishna is self-sufficient. He does not need anything. But because our true eternal nature is to render loving service. And that can be satisfied with our eternal friend, our eternal master, our eternal love, Lord Krishna. So that is the science we are being taught, to be directing our heart, our love, in this eternal world of devotional service, our real world. So when one makes progress, his attachment to this world becomes lesser and lesser. Because the more one is engaging in the process, embracing Lord Krishna, his attachment, identification with the mind, the desire, is shed off little by little by little. He's not worried anymore. It's not a burden anymore. But now, his focus is his heart, his love. Just look. After hearing your true identity, you're not the body, a different energy, then the burden of existing eternally, we're always worried about death. We struggle so hard in this world. Survival for existence. But in false body identification, who survived? Look at all the cemeteries. Look through history. They're all gone. Who survived? The spirit soul survives. You, the person. It's very simple. You can see you were once in a baby body, a young boy's body, a young girl's body, a young lady's body. Like now, I'm this old man's body. Senior citizen. Sooner or later, I'm gonna leave this body. But it's painful because I don't know. I sometimes think I have to experience the stopping of breathing. But because of the wisdom that is given, I can meditate and take shelter of Krishna. I lay my life in your hands because definitely everything is in your hands. Now, it should be a favorable, amiable sweetness of embracing Krishna. That at the time you're leaving this world, you may remember him or not, but in this lifetime, we are now in meditation of that sweetness of love. And that is exemplified by our spiritual master. Our heart begins to be directed upon that word of love. That's why in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna states, what is night for the materialist is daytime for the spiritualist. And what is daytime for the spiritualist is nighttime for the materialist. They live in completely different world. So you can now see, sit down, meditate, look. Where is everybody's heading? What is progress? You know? Everybody is trying to struggle not to get contaminated by this COVID-19. Trying to set up this material setup economically to survive. They sing song. I saw this song from the Department of Education. I was watching. They're singing, staying alive. How can you stay alive in a world that is dead? Why not focus upon the world that is your eternal world, wherein there is activity. There are activities that are eternal. And it's all about love. The pastimes of Lord Krishna exemplified by His coming, showing us, inviting us to go there. And Lord Chaitanya, who comes here, none other than Lord Krishna, in loving meditation of the sweetness of the love of Radha and Krishna. They are here, but they are transcendental. The world of pure devotional service is ongoing, eternally, unlimited. Pastimes of the Supreme Person. But us, we're like the frog in the well. All of us here, we're blind. Not only blind, we're inside, we're like the scientists. Inside the deep well, all the frogs are there. Never having experienced what's outside of the well. And they decide, it's like this. Analyze, organize, the Senate, the Congress, the President analyze, try to configure, to control. But who succeeded? No one. And everybody, kokak, they fight. And they see one another with a critical eye. But they haven't seen the light. That outside of that well is an environment that they can jump and jump. But there, everybody's encumbered. Because we are encumbered in this body. This body is connected with pain of birth, death, disease, and knowledge. Just like the frog in the well. But everybody's think, no, I don't believe that. I'm gonna do my will. Then you can live a life of emptiness and loneliness. To be in the world of that darkness. And that is sad. That is pathetic. Because we are given this opportunity to have this human form. To be embracing, to be loving, to experience what is sweet, love for God. So we should be guided by the instructing spiritual master, the Lord within the heart, and our initiating spiritual master, the pure loving servant of God, who loves Krsna, who is teacher by example. Through their association, we can get out of these encumbrances. We are so encumbered by the mind and the body because we can connect our heart, our activities in harmony with what is superior to this material energy, Krsna. So let's chant the holy names. Haribol Namaste.
Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Siddhaswarupaya, Krsna Prasthayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Siddhaswarupaya, Krishna Prasthayate.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudevi, Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa.
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Bhakta Vrinda
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Bhakta Vrinda
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gauranga Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gauranga Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya Te